Hi, and welcome to the Comics Experience Graphic Novel of the Month Club for the month of May 2020. We're still in full Corona lockdown. That's why my beard is getting longer and longer, and I'm starting to look really scary and hairy, more than usual at least. We've got a fantastic book this month. Our book is the wonderful When Stars Are Scattered, by Victoria Jamieson and Omar Mohammed. We're very, very lucky to have Victoria here with us today. There's Victoria. Hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Excellent. Well, at least as excellent as one can be when we're still under partial lockdown. Omar was not able to make it because Omar is blessed enough to have a new baby as of yesterday. And so while we're going to miss him very much, all of our best to him and his family. That's just fantastic to have a new baby in the house.
Yeah, I saw a picture. She's adorable.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, little girl.
That's great. That's awesome. This is the second time that Victoria has been with us here. Last time she was here in person. Now we're in her house. Hi, Victoria's house too. Your previous two books, your previous two graphic novels, the other one's All's Fair, which was what you were here for last time. All's Fair in middle school, were autobiographical. This one is not. Can you talk about the differences in doing autobiography versus doing somebody else's story? Are there differences?
Yeah, I would say so. For my other books, here's All's Fair. They were based on my own life in some ways, but I was free to make up details. And with this book, I was not free to make up details. I couldn't. It was untrue to the story if I tried to make up details. So it was harder in some ways, but easier in others. I'd never worked with someone else before as a co-author. And everything that I wrote, I had to make sure, it actually happened that way, or that Omar was okay if I was making small changes. And every time I tried to steer the story in a direction by myself, it was always a complete failure. So I had to always be checking with Omar. And it was a little hard at first just because I'm used to working by myself. But it really taught me, I think, the importance of listening to stories rather than just charging ahead with the story that I have. When I talked to Omar and listened to what he was telling me, it just made everything so much stronger.
One of the things that happens in most comics, right, is that characters tend to wear the same uniform all the time, right? A uniform, right? Like Charlie Brown, clothes never changes, and you never really think about that, right? But in here, everybody's wearing the same clothes, but that's because of that they're in a refugee camp, and they can't change clothes very often, at least. Was this a concern for you at all in terms of communicating which character is which?
I think it actually made it easier for me in that sense. When I write books that are based in current times, that's one of my biggest issues because I have no fashion sense. So I'm always like, oh, what's my character going to wear? So it actually made it easier that the characters wore the same clothes. So there are 3 separate sections in the book. The main section, the first section, Omar is around 11, 12. So he's wearing this shirt. I did want to make sure in each section that they're wearing the same colors. So Omar is the older brother, Hassan is his younger brother. So Omar is always wearing sort of a red themed shirt. Hassan's always wearing a blue color. So that was one way I wanted to differentiate the two boys. And I also should mention, since we're talking about color, we had a fantastic colorist named Iman Getty, who's based out of Atlanta. And she did so much, a lot of the work in this book, there's lots of patterns that are in the clothing. So a lot of her work was going through and adding tons and tons of different patterns to the clothing. So she did such a fantastic job with that.
Yeah, that must be interesting too, because in a way she has to play Where's Waldo, right? To find the character consistently through the book, I
eventually learned to label. To be like,
okay.
Here's Omar.
Let me ask you though about the difference between doing children's, the illustrated books, which tend to be 32-ish or so pages long, versus doing this. I mean, that's a massive, massive difference. And this is a massive undertaking.
Yeah, I know. I almost wish I could go back to writing picture books, but I actually find picture books so hard to make because they are 32 pages and the people who do them well are so masterful at telling like really immersive stories in 32 pages. It's so hard. So in some ways I do feel it's easier to make graphic novels because you have a bit more space.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Do you have any, do you ever get ideas days for something that's less than 150, 200 pages, but not big enough for a book?
Not big enough for a whole graphic novel?
Well, yeah. I mean, so like if you come up with a 40-page story, like what can you do with that these days?
Well, I do have 2 graphic novels that are shorter. They're about 64 pages, called The Great Pet Escape. Actually, hold on. I'll go reach it. So I think, and this is something I hear from parents and teachers, that graphic novels for younger readers are something they're always looking for. So these were ones I did kind of in between Roller Girl and All's Fair, where it's a shorter story, it's a lighter story of classroom pets. So I think there's room in the middle.
Okay, very good. Yeah, on my side of things, it looks to me like most people are either little comics or giant books, and that middle stage it's not working. It's not selling a lot of copies. Yeah, but I have a different concern than you do. So.
No, we probably have the same concerns because these don't sell as well. Yeah. But for the people who reach out to me, have said that they're really glad there's something in the middle. But most of my stories just end up being longer and for slightly older kids, just naturally.